Hey there, this is Jackie of the Maiden Voyage podcast, and you're listening to Season 2, Episode 6, the one where we dive into the division of labor in your household and how it's affecting your relationships.
Maiden Voyage is a podcast recorded by the women of Impulse Creative.
We are CEOs, salespeople, project managers, writers, and marketers. We're also wives, rad moms, remote employees all over the country, in-house staff, empowered single ladies, and all-around ass kickers.
There's a lot of challenges we face, overcome, and share that make our voyage different than those of the men we work with. This is our journey.
This week's episode is brought to you by Impulse Creative. Welcome to Maiden Voyage. Today we're talking to all of our mermaids minus one. Rachel, we miss you. Get better soon. And we're going to be talking today about this article that was circulating amongst us. And the title of the article was, Women Still Do the Majority of Household Chores. Study finds that gender equality in divisions of work is rare and gender norms remain strong. So quite a title, but the point and the study that was done a few years ago, I think the study was between 2006 and 2011 in the UK. So the stats are a bit dated, but stick with us, Maiden Voyage listeners, because we believe that this article still rings true, that women are carrying more of the workload at home than men, whether or not they are working full-time themselves. So like I said, this article circulated through us, and I think it really rung true. We had quite a heated discussion in an internal Slack channel about, what does your husband do? What does your boyfriend do? And does he do this? Does he do that? There's no way. And one fact that came out real quick was that women are doing what did it say? 15 hours of housework a week, and men are doing
16 hours, yeah.
And men are doing 6. So what? That's over double almost the amount of time that I'm picking shit up around the house that he's not. And like we said, although the study was from the UK a few years ago, this is the number one complaint I hear even amongst my girlfriends is that dude, clean a freaking toilet. What about you ladies?
I think so Brian and I were laughing. I told him we were going to be talking about this because he's at home right now. So I already told him, I was like, my husband is so great most of the time, but when he's bad, he's so bad, terrible. But yesterday I came home, he made the bed, he does he cleans the toilets. I don't do that. He does that. He makes the bed. He does the trash. My dad taught me at a young age that a lady does not take out the trash. And I swear, I just never did it. My brothers did it when I lived with.
Same.
I never did it.
And so, I honestly, the article when it says gender norms are so strong, I would consider myself, Jen, I feel like you're going to have an opinion on this. I love it. I'm gearing for you to respond to me, but I am a feminist. I'm a strong, independent woman. I don't need no man. I pay my own bills, Lizzo. Okay. For my car and for my rent, I do my thing, but I'm not taking out the trash. Okay. I'm not doing it.
I've lived in a 1-bedroom. Don't get me wrong.
When I lived by myself, who else took the trash out? But I am in a committed relationship with a man who takes the motherfucking trash out. And that is how I live my life. I don't do the trash. I don't do the recycling. I don't even do it the way he wants me to. He's like, why can't you break the box out? Because that's your job. Why can't you have a contraction and push out a child? Because that's my job. and I know those are gender basic bitch norms.
Yeah, you're putting us in corners right now, Jackie.
I know, I'm sorry, but that is how I feel. And I've no problem being a strong woman and still not doing the trash right. That's fine.
I feel so differently about it. He'll go around the house and take plastic that has this much juice left in it and pour it in a cup and be like, here, drink this, because he wants to go take the recycling out on recycling day. He's into it. But that's the same way I feel about folding the clothes a certain way. I'd rather do it because I know where everything's going. It makes life easier, I'll do that. You do that. We have our own separate things. Okay. And my husband is actually sometimes he works a lot at night and stuff. So sometimes I do pick up the weight, but that's not to say that he has a random Monday off and he works all day long to make it better, Right.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point, Audrey. Do you think that a lot of it is a control thing? Like you said, I'd rather just do the laundry myself. Do you think that some women have a problem just letting go and letting a guy do the work? Do you think
Absolutely. The other day when we were talking in Slack, when I said that I I think I said I enjoy doing it. I was like, no one enjoys doing it. I don't enjoy doing
You
it.
said you enjoy weeding, and I was like, she's on
I
crack.
do. I like the aftermath of it because it looks so good after it's done.
It's like the satisfaction. It's like pimple popping. Like nobody wants to do that, but when it's clear, you're like, oh, look at my face.
Right. Like I enjoy doing stuff because I know I don't want to say that I'm going to do it right because that's not the case, but like I'm going to do it the way I want it to look.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So the article went on to go say that there was, and Jen, you brought this up. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about this. There was, so they did like they spoke with different segments of people throughout the UK over these years, asking them what they do, their profession, and things like that. And there was one group of women who do less work than their husbands, right, Jen? That's what the article was notating.
Yeah. So what it was saying was that there is one group in particular where the distribution of workload in the household was actually more equal, and that was in their female earner group. So it was the group where the female actually earned more than the man, was where there was a equal dispersion of work. And they said that there was a high correlation between women with a higher education, like educational qualifications, and the equality of the men-female relationship in the household, which I found very interesting.
Yeah.
They didn't, in the article, they didn't talk exactly about why, but it kind of opens up the room for speculation. You start to think, you're like, well, does a man feel like he's not the breadwinner and earning as much, so he feels like he has to pick up the slack elsewhere in the household? Like, is that
That's
the
really
And the
interesting.
exact flip side of that is like, because you make more than me, I'm supposed to do the dishes.
right? Yeah.
So I don't look at it as like that though, but I do look and I don't like my husband and I have such different jobs, and I've worked in his profession. So I know that like he's sucking up. He's bringing me ginger ale right now because he knows I'm
Get
talking
out of here,
him.
Brian.
He's like, I'm going to put it in the recycling too. But he works, I don't want to say harder. Like I use my brain a lot more, but he's on his feet and he's moving around and he's having to talk to people over people. And like, it's just a different type of tired when you get home.
Right.
So when he does have those like long nights and long work weeks and doubles and stuff, like I try to do more so he doesn't have to do. And I don't know if people feel that way. Like same with like money wise. I don't, my husband makes more than me. I don't try to make up for that in any way. He gets to look at his face.
Oh, hello.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because again, not everything is about money, but it makes you think like, what is it about that? Is it like a mindset, or does it maybe have something to do with like, I hate to assume this, but like their education level? Is it something where like maybe they just are better at communicating their expectations to each other? I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, and then I took it very differently, Jen, than you interpreted it, obviously. But that really does bring up a great point that like perhaps maybe they are on the same level of education, because if she's making maybe more than him, he's still an earner though, per the article, that they are like you said, communicating better or just more enlightened when it comes to like the world itself.
Or perhaps, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but perhaps the money influences something. I know you were going to bring it up later in the talk, Jackie, but like maybe they hire a housekeeper or something. Like maybe that was an influence. You know what I mean? Maybe they don't actually have to do it.
Yeah. I will happily talk about that later because it was the major factor that changed my household life. So the article then went on to say, which like I find this really true, that the study was conducted at by the London School of Economics, and they explored how men's attitudes towards gender stereotypes evolve when raising a daughter. And so I have a daughter, so I have a husband raising a daughter. And this article said that men become more aware of the challenges girls may experience, and the consequences of that describe them this like effect that they have as like the mighty girl effect, and that like they're almost like more feministic men, and it's basically it's saying it moderates their attitudes towards gender norms because they are raising and seeing a woman grow in front of their eyes, and it's like they don't want them to be in that. And I very much see that with my husband. I only have a 2.5-year-old, but like we don't like, we're very careful in the words we use around her. Like I don't tell her she's only pretty when she's wearing a dress. So like even in the words we choose in our home, like when she gets dressed up, we tell her she's in her fancies. Like, oh, you're wearing your fancies today. Not that you're more pretty because you're in your fancies, but you are in your fancy clothes. So, you know, you're beautiful in your shorts and you're beautiful in your fancies. So I have seen with my husband though, like he's very like, she helps him take out the trash and he loves that she wants to come with him. He's encouraging that. Where like in my house, Audrey, I was like you, where my dad was like, no, your brothers will do it.
Yeah. Yeah. But so you just brought up a good point, because I've seen this go both ways with like parents and little girls too, but do you guys have any, or have you seen like those little toys for girls, like play mops and
we have a set, but that's gender neutral. I will say toddlers love to clean stuff.
So that was my point though, is I went and I looked one for my nephew because he wanted to do it. And I would say 97% of the ones I found were pink. I could not find a gender neutral one. And the one I found was not blue. It was like the brown ones. They looked real. Like,
yes.
So.
Wow.
Well, that also leads to like, and we're going to go off topic for just a second, but like you can't get a blue stroller in the kiddie aisle. They're all pink strollers. Just saying. So we could talk about that all day, but back to the topic at hand. So what we wanted to kind of talk about now is, so as you can tell, this article fired us up a little bit. And I'd love to share, if we can, we all are in different living situations at the current moment. So I'm just really interested to hear, like, Courtney, you live with a bunch of chicks, but like you're in a new relationship. So are you seeing that like any gender norms or like any issues you guys are having? I mean, living with a bunch of chicks, I always feel like I did that once. One person has to pick up the slack. Like, do you find that there is some sort of misbalance in your current situation?
Oh man. So kind of what you guys were talking about earlier, where there's like just certain chores that, you know, like the trash and stuff like that, like it's kind of like an unspoken chore that like you just would prefer not to do. Like, and I'm the same way with my laundry. Like I'd prefer to do it my way. I'm like very particular and OCD about how I fold my clothes. But yeah, I live with two girls and we rent a house, and the biggest challenge for us was the yard. None of us know how to start a lawnmower. And our grass was absolutely out of control. Like my boyfriend, he mowed the lawn twice. And I would say actually just 1.5 times, because so we have this big like backyard area that like the fence thankfully hides. So like one time he mowed all of it, and the second time he just mowed the front lawn, and that was because we were getting letters telling us like, your lawn's disgusting. Like we're gonna charge you $75 if you don't get it together. So I was like, help us. And so, you know, I'm not gonna make him do it every time. So like we eventually just ended up biting the bullet and getting a professional to do it and just splitting the cost. So things like that, like, and it's also embarrassing because I have two like landscaping clients and I can't even start a lawnmower, but it's just like how I grew up. Like and it's still true today. Like my brothers and my dad always did the lawn work, and that's still how it is. Like my dad's always doing yard work on the weekends while my mom picks up the slack, like in the kitchen and cleaning the house, like basically everything indoors. Mm-hmm. So
I think that's a very traditional split that we've all seen growing up for the most part. I mean, I was raised by a single mom, so it was like a little different for me, but, you know, traditionally I feel like that is a very common split. Even on vacation, when we go on vacation, my mother-in-law is still in the kitchen doing all the things, and my father-in-law's blowing up the pool toys. Like it sticks no matter where you go. How about you, Jen? Because you recently moved in with a friend who happens to be a male, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so talk to us about how has it been work? Is he there right now? You're like shifty-eyed.
Yeah, he's upstairs. It's fine. It's the same thing where like when you live with someone, you know that like they're going to be around. Like this happening with you, Audrey, but it's fine. Totally. I'm candid. Well, for me, it was a struggle because I had lived alone for about 2 years. So I got very used to doing everything myself all the time and almost finding like I liked that. I enjoyed being able to do some of those things. And I grew up in a kind of a different household. There was like a weird dispersion of gender roles. However, my dad owns like a small engine repair shop. And I was their only child. So my dad also kind of like taught me like the ropes of the boy things, like how to change the oil in your car and like how to drive a zero turn and all these different things. So I'm kind of like a jack of all trades in those regards. But for me now, I think the most difficult transition for me is not getting stuck on like my neurotic habits. I mean, we all have our own little like tics and things that annoy us. And me in particular, I feel like things need to be very orderly. Like I got home late last night and I had a buddy crash on my sofa and like he left just the sofa in like disarray, and just stuff like that annoys me. I'm like, just put the pillows back where they were, fold the blanket when you leave. Like it takes 45 seconds, but it's not a given for a lot of people.
Right.
So I think the biggest thing that I really like about my roommate is that I kind of went through a vetting process before I moved in with someone, because I knew that like my mom always jokes with me that she's like, the reason you're single is because you don't put up with bullshit. And I'm like, it's so true. Like when a guy doesn't do something and I ask him nicely a couple times or something, I'm out. Like I'm not dealing with it. So when I was checking out like who I wanted to move in with, I was seeking a friend who knows me very well. He knows the things that I like and dislike, and he's a great communicator. So that was really important for me, because I needed to know that if something was going to bother me, that I was able to verbalize it and not internalize it and become bitter or you know what I mean, or anything else spiteful that you could do in a dynamic. And I feel like when you're in a relationship with someone in that context where you can openly talk about things and you express gratitude, like my biggest thing was you almost need to like condition the person to understand that they're going to get a reward when they do something good. That sounds like horrible, but even just a simple thank you. Like he emptied the dishwasher one night and I sent him a text the next morning and I said, hey Mike, thanks so much for emptying the dishwasher. And he was just like, you got it. Like just stuff like that goes such a long way. So for me, that's kind of what I do to combat that, and also just let go of the fact that like some things are not always going to be perfect. Like my roommate might not see the value of recycling cardboard like I do, so I'm just going to pick it out of the trash and put it in the recycling. Like some things you just have to let go of. You know what I mean?
I think those are two great tips, like open communication, giving praise, even for small things, because if it does make you feel warm, fuzzy inside, they don't know that unless you tell them that. And then like letting go of the small stuff. Those are three, like, I love those three little tips. It's perfect.
Did you guys see that video on, it was on Facebook a while ago, and I think they were like a boyfriend and girlfriend, and like everything would like just get done. Like he'd come home and he'd be like, oh, where is all the stuff on the coffee table? And she's like, it's magic. It just all goes away by itself. Like all this stuff that he was just used to just getting like taken care of, because like she would do it while he was gone, like the laundry and everything. He's like, I'm just going to put it in the magic basket, because like then it would go and get cleaned or whatever. Because like he would never say like thank you or anything, because you're just like, you know, if you come home every day and everything's done and you don't say thank you, like that's when, like Jen's point, people take it for granted.
Yeah. Animosity. Audrey, do you guys have any like little tips or tricks that you do in your house, or any like specific division of labor that works for you?
Find yourself
recycling.
Find yourself an ADD husband. That's what you do.
Yeah. And give him coffee when you want him to do things.
That happened one time. It was such a bad idea.
So things that were like very interesting in my house, I think. And I actually want to tell a few stories. I want to tell a story about a friend too, real quick, with Audrey that made me think of it. So as was hinted to earlier, we have a cleaning lady and I adore her. My daughter knows her name. She's amazing. When she comes every other week. I started doing it when I was 8 months pregnant because I didn't want to bend over anymore, and I've never let her go. It's my favorite day of the week. She is my best friend on the planet. And my husband hates her because he has to actually put his things away before she comes over. The cleaning before the cleaning lady, which like in the area I grew up in, I hate to say this, but like a lot of families had them. So like I, as a kid growing up, was like, why do I have to clean my room before the cleaning lady comes? And now my husband complains about the same thing. And I see the value of it. I'm like, put your stuff away. She can't dust the service if it's not clean. So it saved my marriage though, because I was cleaning all day on the weekends. And he's like, I vacuumed. I'm like, let's get out a parade for vacuuming. Everyone slow clap for the vacuum. So like he thought he was helping. He's a great vacuumer, but it is so much more than vacuuming, you know? And I was like at my wit's end and we were arguing and it was getting passive aggressive. And I was like, you know what? I'm spending the money and I'm doing this whether you like it or not. And it like really has saved us in so many ways. And I don't mind like straightening up and doing the laundry and I cook every day and the dishes, like that's just fine. And windows, I just don't. I'm not good at it. I don't like to do it. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. If you can afford it, I highly recommend just getting rid of that little argument in your household every day. But a friend of mine also has a cleaning service, and she was pregnant. And if she's listening, she's going to know this is about her. It's really funny. Her husband came home one day and was like, man, the cleaning service is getting really lazy. They didn't fold my laundry this time. They just shoved it in a drawer. And she said, I do that, a-hole, not the cleaning service. I clean your clothes up before they come here. He thought the cleaning company was like folding his laundry and like hanging it in the closet. It was his wife the whole time, like the fairy. And he had no idea. It was like so funny. I was so angry about it too. It was really funny. So that's one thing that we do. And then I also, Jen, to your communication fact, like I have another friend who like doesn't necessarily speak up all the time when something happens. So like if Brian doesn't do something, I'm like, would you freaking just do that? Like when we first had a kid, I felt like he just couldn't look down anymore. And he would like step over things as he was going about. And I'm like, look down and pick it up and put it where it belongs. Please stop stepping over it. And I would leave something on the floor for like days, just like waiting for him to pick it up. And now that's very passive aggressive of me. And like, I'm being childish. And so I said to him, I'm going to stop doing this. However, I'm going to tell you to your face when you're missing stuff because I boil and stew and now I'm mad at you and now it's weird and we're chippy with each other and it translates into so many other parts of our relationship, which is just unnecessary. So I don't hold back anymore. I'm like, it's your turn to do the dishes and I walk away. Your turn to do this and I walk away. And he is very fine with me communicating like that because I'm not weird and our relationship isn't weird because I'm holding back on stupid things like whatever, do the dishes. Mm-hmm. I also recently discovered I've known my husband for, I don't know, a really long time, over 15 years. We've been together for 10. He likes the toilet paper a certain way. Do you guys have like a toilet paper? I didn't know there was a right way or a wrong way.
Definitely.
Toilet paper?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I prefer it down. Like
it should be facing you.
Okay, fine. But I don't really care. And like, I guess I was doing it the way he didn't like it. And he told me like, could you do it the right way? And like sent me a meme. And I was like, hold on. You waited 10 years to tell me this?
Yeah, that would annoy me. I'd be like, what? 10 years of this?
I had no idea you had a preferred toilet paper situation.
I probably put it in different ways all the time.
I just
like tell me I was hanging his clothes the wrong way at one point, but I still do it. I can't help it.
Yeah, I fold his clothes wrong. Well, then you can fold your own damn clothes.
Right, yeah. No, he doesn't complain about it anymore because I probably stopped doing it. But apparently I hang them, I don't know, I hang them wrong somehow, like the wrong facing way.
Yeah.
That sounds like OCD.
Right, I don't know, but he doesn't say anything about it anymore, and I do it the same way, so.
So I feel like the moral of all our stories here is communication, kindness, and, you know, just like be nice to each other.
Yeah, communication for sure.
Yeah.
If you don't say anything about it, it's not going to get fixed.
Well, and that's the thing. And nobody wants to boil up over your shoes being next to the couch instead of near the front door.
Right.
It's just not worth it. Those little things in life can really tack on, and like I said, you can get chippy, and that's when I find we are really like at our chippiest is when it's something stupid that I just didn't say or he didn't say, and now we're like meh at each other.
Right.
I hate that.
And there's unspoken tension, but you don't know, one party doesn't know what it's about.
Right. So we haven't done one yet this season, Maiden Voyage listeners, but today we are, I don't know, sadly bringing to you a poop deck. And our Poop Deck Award goes to Jed from The Bachelorette because you're a jackass.
The
and you're
worst.
a person, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And I hope nobody dates you for a really long time.
The worst.
Terrible person. Jen, I know you don't watch, but I'll give you a quick rundown. And for our listeners who don't watch, a quick rundown. Poor Hannah Brown was the Bachelorette this season, came to the final episode. We all think she chose poorly. She chose a nice man named Jed Wyatt. He had a girlfriend the whole time. Yeah, Jen, appropriate reaction face.
Well, it was very clear to tell that he was only on that show to escalate his career. You could tell from the beginning. He, like, first of all, he was a singer, but like all he did was sing the whole time. I know he wasn't great, but he wasn't bad. I mean, whatever.
He like carried his guitar with him everywhere. Like there was a commercial for Bud Light or something, and he was like the lonely cowboy.
It was so clear to see like that he was totally not in it. His parents didn't care. Like it was just like, it's literally like, I told Brian the other day, I was like, they should not let actors, models, singers, or anybody on that show. It's just stupid. It's like, you know that they're not on there for the real thing, you know?
It's terrible.
I regret watching that season. I regret the time I put into it.
His parents were really mean to her, and her parents didn't like him. So I almost feel like it was like, no, you can't hang out with your boyfriend. And she like snuck out of the house to hang out with him anyway.
That happens a lot, though, I feel like, in The Bachelor.
Like if like Peter was so perfect
Peter
and
should have won.
He should have won. He better be the next Bachelor. But like his parents, his family loved her.
Yeah, I know. Bawling at the mental hall or whatever it was.
Whatever. Jed, we hate you. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, we could talk about this all day. So we should just probably end this now.
Okay, Voyagers, thanks for listening this week, and make sure to tune in next week. But until then, stay your course, and remember, this is your voyage. Make it amazing.
Sadly, that'll do it for this week's episode of Maiden Voyage. We'd like to thank you, our amazing listeners, because let's face it, lady life is hard. It's incredible how much we accomplish every day, and we all deserve awards just for existing. If you're watching the show, make sure that you subscribe, click on that thing for instant notifications, speak your mind in the comments, and share us with your fellow Voyagers.